Right. Всем привет. Today I have a very special guest. I have my Russian teacher, Ekaterina. How are you doing today, Ekaterina?
Hey, I'm good. What about yourself?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. So, Katerina, can you tell me a little bit about how long have you been teaching Russian?
I've been teaching Russian for about a couple of years, and by the time I started teaching it, I've been already teaching English for several years and also Italian for about a year or so. By now, I would say I have a pretty big experience in teaching languages. And from when I was little, I was fascinated by English language. So my passion for languages was born many years ago when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Um, well, Russian is my native language, so I guess I was quite fortunate to learn it without any effort. At least I don't remember that I was struggling to learn it because it's my native language. So I'm very happy if I can transmit my knowledge to other people, and I can definitely say I love what I do, and because languages are my passion.
Mhm. Yeah, and I have to say you're a really great teacher. I've only had like 3 classes with you, and I can already read Cyrillic, I can conjugate some verbs, and I can already describe myself a little bit as well with just a couple
Oh,
lessons.
thank
So, I mean,
you. I'm glad. I'm glad you liked it. I'm really glad.
so like for example, I can already say like Меня зовут Хосе, я из Мексики, но сейчас я живу в Америке. Мои родители тоже из Мексики, но сейчас они живут в Чикаго. И в Америке я работаю на компьютере за языками. И
Мгм.
когда я не работаю, мне нравится читать книги, и мне нравится изучать языки. И я
Мгм.
тоже люблю ходить в кино и ходить на вечеринки. И в будущем я хочу поехать в Россию.
Wow, I'm impressed. Молодец. Even I cannot speak Russian that well. No, I'm joking. But you were fast. Great job, great job. I'm surprised.
But
Did,
you can see that just with a couple lessons, everything before I took a class with Ekaterina, I spoke zero like Russian. I couldn't conjugate anything, and just after a couple lessons, I can already conjugate and understand what she's saying and make my own sentences.
Thank you. I'm great. Did I help you to learn this?
No,
I'm
you
surprised.
taught me everything.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. And you have such a great result so fast. It's incredible. And we've done like 3 lessons, 4 lessons. It's crazy.
So yeah, thanks. So what kind of classes then do you offer? Is it private classes or group classes, or how does it work exactly?
Well, due to the fact that I move from one place to another quite often, I tend to teach all of my lessons via Skype online, basically. Although I do have to admit that I really love the real contact with people, so if I have a chance to teach live classes, I do teach them here in Atlanta, for example, where I live right now. But yes, all of them, if I teach by Skype, all of them are private and you get all my attention. And all 60 minutes or 90 minutes, as you prefer, they're dedicated to you and you can practice the language as much as you want.
So you offer is it 1 hour or 2 hour lessons, you said?
It's We usually do 60 minutes, but some students prefer to do 90 minutes. It depends on how much time each student has, or someone can just really focus for a long time. Like, for example, me personally, I have a difficulty concentrating on a subject for such a long period of time. At
Mhm.
least I would need a break or something. But some people really can go on. So it depends. It's very individual for every student.
And how many times a week can people choose to have class?
Um, it's also very individual. Some people, usually I would say in average, people take twice, they do twice a week. They take 2 classes a week. Some people also do 1 class a week, which am not, I don't support that very well because I think that if you learn the language, you should at least do 2 lessons a week. But again, if this person studies on his own too a lot, that changes the whole picture. But if you only take 1 class and then you don't study on your own, it's gonna take a while, I think. So I always recommend twice a week.
Hmm. So could you tell me a little bit more about Skype lessons? What are the advantages of studying via Skype as opposed to studying in a classroom?
Yes. Well, here I can go on for hours because um, well, that's what helped me to learn Italian. When I lived in Moscow, I was so busy with my work, I never had free time. But I really wanted to learn another language. That was Italian that I wanted to learn, and I was just so tired. And every time I would try to start learning it, I just couldn't do it because I was tired. So Skype really helped me because I could do it anytime, anywhere. Even if I was tired at home, I could just turn on my computer and do the lesson. So that's how I discovered it for myself.
You can
Uh,
kind of set your own schedule as to when you want to study, when you have free time to study on your own.
exactly. The fact that but then imagine like if people live in big cities, like I lived in Moscow, which is a huge city. And so if you find yourself that you live in a big city and it takes you 1 hour to get to one place and 1 hour to come back, then you spend 2 hours just commuting to one place. And it's just you're losing so much of your time that that you can spend with your friends or doing sport. So there's no reason to waste this time, I guess. So let me just talk about some advantages of Skype learning because, as we already talked before, I think a lot of people are very kind of even scared about it because it's not a
Maybe they don't have
traditional.
experience studying via Skype.
Exactly, because they've never done it, so it's very new to them, and it's not a traditional way to learn something. So a lot of people would ask me, "Really? You teach by Skype? How does it work? Is it possible to learn something by Skype?" So I saw a lot of prejudice about it, and people, I guess, they don't know what they're losing because it's really great. Like that we already said that you are your own boss. You make your own schedule. You decide when it is convenient for you to study, that it doesn't interrupt your other things that you have to do. So you decide, okay, I can do it on Saturday, and then you do it on Saturday. So no one tells you when you have to show up for the class. Isn't
So
that
you can always work at your own pace and study at your own pace as well.
exactly? So I don't tell you, okay, Tuesday, and so if you, how does it work with language courses? They say, okay, we have classes Tuesday, Thursday evenings, like Monday, Friday afternoon, for example, and you have to adapt to that. But if you are studying by Skype, usually you set the schedule and you say when it is convenient for you. Okay, then another one is you can also choose the place of the lesson. So you can do it from your home, you can do it from your office, you can do it from your favorite couch, you can do it like I knew people when I lived in Moscow because in Moscow many parks have Wi-Fi. So I would have some students that would be like on the background there will be all trees and like birds
You would
singing.
go to the park to have their
Yeah, they
class or
would go
maybe
to
a
Paris to
cafe.
learn the language, and it's so amazing. So if you have that opportunity, why not? You can totally choose the place. So where do you usually, for example, if you have a Skype lesson, Jose, where do you usually? Do you do it from home?
Yeah, I usually do it from home in my living room, and like I said, it's really convenient. Maybe if I go out on Saturday out with some friends and I can't make it back home in time for the lesson, we could have it also. I could go to a cafe and we could have it there, or I could go to a library or something.
Yeah, so you can totally choose, and it doesn't get boring too because you basically can change places too.
Mhm.
So it's really cool.
But you don't
Then
always have to be in the same classroom all the time, so that's really
exactly,
good.
and you can create your perfect environment too. That some people might learn well when when there are the other people around. Someone needs a very quiet place with no interruptions. We are all different, so you can
You can really
personalize it
choose
for
which way
yourself.
you want to learn. So.
Exactly, exactly. Another one that is very, very important is saving your time. That's all. I already mentioned that before, that you don't spend time commuting, and I think that was one of the greatest advantages for me when I used to learn Italian by Skype because I was already losing so much time going from one place to another, and I just didn't want to waste any more of my time. And I could do it from home, and I would spend exactly 1 hour, and that's it. Do you find that it's convenient, that it saves your time?
No, it's very, very convenient, like you said. Otherwise, I would have to spend a lot of time just commuting to a school or maybe going by train or just driving there. And this way, I could just get home from work and then start my lesson right away. And then I spend an hour maybe on the lesson and then another half hour studying. Then I could go to the gym and exercise or go out with my friends. So it's a lot. It's a big time saver.
Exactly. So it's not like if this evening you have a language class, you have to cancel all your other activities. You can still do sport, you can still meet with your friends. Actually, here in Atlanta, I do it often. I come back in the evening at home and I do 1 hour workout, and then I'm free because I don't have to commute. I can, and then I can study languages and every right from home. I don't have to go anywhere. It's very convenient.
And are there any other advantages that you'd like to mention?
Yes, there are a couple of more. Another thing that is very, I would like to pay your attention to that. It's that these classes are private. So you get all the attention and all the time to practice you want. Because sometimes, for example, again, everyone is individual, but I took a couple of language courses in my life, and I figured that I found myself near with people that love to read, for example, love to translate, and I just wanted to speak, you know. That's how I wanted to learn. So for me, it was, I don't want to say annoying, but I would just be, let's let's move on. Let's stop reading this text. Let's just talk, you know.
Hmm.
So I didn't find myself in a comfortable environment to learn because I was always, yes, I will say annoyed by the fact that someone wants to do this and not what I
You
want
don't
to
always
do.
adhere to whatever the lesson plan that the teacher has for you. So it's not a personalized lesson. It's just a lesson for everyone in the
For a
class.
group, exactly. And then everyone everyone gets the language with a different pace. For example, someone is faster, someone takes his time. So it's really, but with Skype lesson you have it personalized and you really can do what you want to do. If you say to your teacher, "Hey, I love to speak. That's how I pick it up fast." That's what you do. Or you say, or you see that your student is really passionate about reading, translate, and this is how he or she learns the best. So with Skype lesson, you can really have it personalized, and I think this is just one of the greatest advantages too, that you can learn much faster just because you have it the way you want it.
So I could learn exactly what I want to learn if I'm interested in learning just how to speak with my friends or learning to talk about literature or describe myself. We could just focus on that if we
Exactly.
want.
You can just tell me, it's just you and me. We can communicate and we can decide what's better for you. Just the other day, I had a Russian lesson with my Italian student, and I told him, so let's go to another book and see what we have there. He was like, no, no, can we just go through all the cases first and then move on to the next one? Because for him it was important to see the whole picture of all the cases in Russian. So he just told me, he just suggested this to me, and I said, okay, no problem, sure. If that's what you want, let's do that because that's what works best for you.
Hmm.
Does it make sense?
I also like seeing kind of how all the puzzle pieces fit together then before I could study like each individual part. So that way when you learn new words or new sentences, you could maybe recognize the other cases as you're reading.
Exactly, exactly. So, and I have the last one. I know I've been talking for a while, but it's also super important, which is that you save your money too. And because live private classes usually are quite expensive and not a lot of people can afford them, especially if you have a teacher who comes to you. With Skype lessons, you usually pay much less. It's like twice less of the live private lesson. So not only you saving your time, you saving your money. I don't know if
And
money.
then, well, if you save your money, then you could afford more lessons as well. So, for example, if it costs me very expensive to take one class, now since I saved money, I could take more private lessons.
Yeah, people tend not to have private classes because they think, oh, I cannot afford private classes. They're super expensive. So people go to language schools and they study in groups. Takes them years before they can actually start talking. And it's not the most effective way. Again, I
Like
think
that sometimes in the classroom, the pace of learning is very slow. Since if I've heard some other friends that studied Russian and they studied for a whole semester, like for 4 months, and they said the only thing they learned was how to read the alphabet and just how to say like introductions in just 4 months, and that was everything.
exactly. I've known people like this too. I've met a couple of people in Rome that have been studying Russian for a year, believe it or not, and they couldn't tell me simple things about themselves. Like how do they teach you if you can only like say, okay, I can read a little bit, I can maybe understand one word or two. But it's really sad when you think about it. How many hours have you spent during 1 year now on on learning a language, and in the end you cannot speak? And I think every one of us mm, has been there because that's how they do it usually in school. A lot of people learn language in school for years and years, and they cannot talk at the end. They cannot speak it.
Hmm. And that's really sad because a lot of people get they lose their motivation since they don't see
Of
any
course.
results from
How
all.
wouldn't you lose your motivation? Of course you lose your motivation because you say, "Oh God, I spent 1 hour already and I still cannot speak. I will never handle Russian. It's impossible. I mean, I've already been doing it for 1 year. I can't speak." But it's really about the way how you do it. It's just about being effective or not.
Yeah, and but before, like when I would think about studying Russian, I would always kind of just avoid it because it seemed very difficult to me. But since I started studying with you, it doesn't seem as difficult as it was before. Like it just reading words seems a lot clearer to me than it was in the past.
Yeah, because you know why it doesn't seem for you so difficult? Because just you have done only 3 lessons and you can already say so many things about yourself. So that's the mistake that they do in universities and schools very often. You what would they do that you study grammar for months, right? And then okay, maybe right now we will start speaking. So this is crazy. That's not the way you have to do it. You have to show them that they even if it's very difficult language, they can still speak it. So now,
Well,
when
the natural way of acquiring a language is by speaking it rather than by studying it first and then speaking it.
exactly, so now, for example, if I will explain you some very difficult pieces of grammar, it wouldn't scare you as much now because you say, okay, well, it's difficult, but I can still speak it. I can still learn how to speak it
Hmm.
because you.
Yeah, I remember we already talked about a little bit about the prepositional case and like the accusative, like я читаю интересную книгу.
This is
So,
accusative.
so I can kind of already like start to recognize a little bit what the accusative would look like if I read
Exactly.
the sentence.
That's right. So I guess I mentioned more or less all of the most important advantages. Of course, there are many, many more, but I guess these should be enough to motivate people to really consider Skype learning.
So yeah, like you said, if they do Skype lessons, they're really going to be much more effective as far as the results that they see. They're going to see results much faster, and then they're going to want to learn. They're going to learn what they want to learn, not whatever like another lesson plan is planned for them.
Exactly. Yes,
And do
that's
you
right.
provide all the materials for the lessons?
Yes, absolutely. You don't have to worry about buying or finding some books. I usually will provide my students with several books that cover different aspects of the language. And I use some internet resources, and I just try to make a lesson very interesting, provoking, because I believe that if something really excites you and you wait for your lesson, that's how you learn much faster. Because if you're bored, what results are you going to get?
Mhm.
I don't think. I think again, every one of us has experienced that in our lives. That if you're bored, I don't think you're going to learn a lot.
So definitely the motivation has a direct effect on learning, I'd
Of
say.
course, because if you get a positive energy from your class, I think that motivates you to have more classes and continue learning, even if it's really difficult. And that's how I've always chosen my teachers. For me, it's really important the personality too. I need to connect with the person, and I want to wait for my lesson. I want to be excited about it, and that's how I learn the best.
And can you tell me why is Russian a useful language to learn right now?
Because it's beautiful. Well, just kidding. I love to say that to everything. Like, so why is it? Like, because it's just beautiful, don't you think?
No, I
Well,
agree. Like even if it weren't like a practical and a useful language, just studying the language itself, it's a fascinating language, the way the grammar works, and then just working with the Cyrillic alphabet, it's really
like
amazing.
even the fact that we have four verbs of moving, like in English, you just say go, right? I go to school, I go to work, I go to the gym every day. So, but in Russian, you really have to, as a foreigner, you have to say, okay, you have to think, okay, so what verb of moving do I use now?
Hmm.
Because it's based on how often you go there or how you go there by foot or you use some kind of transport. So it's really Russian makes you realize that
It
people
makes you analyze a sentence a lot more than you normally would.
exactly, and maybe also I found that when you learn another language, you see that people think in a different way about things just by the way they express themselves. So that's very interesting too. So I think when it comes to Russian, that again, it's I like to say it's very individual. That one might want to learn it for a better career opportunities, for example, because the Russian economy is growing. More and more countries do business with Russia, so that could be a motivation. Or another might be fascinated by the Russian culture. So one might say that, well, it's the eighth most spoken language in the world because we're a
Hmm.
big country and we're so many, so that may be very useful to learn it. So
Definitely, like when I go out and I meet new people, there's always someone that speaks Russian. Or if I go out on vacation, I always run into some Russian speakers. So I mean, it's a very, like you said, useful language that I'm always going to have an opportunity to use it, even if I don't travel to Russia.
it's so true because now we're not a closed country anymore. I mean, the doors are more or less open. We still need to get a visa to go to the most of the countries, but I mean, the doors are open, and Russian people started traveling years ago. So, as you said, if you go on vacation somewhere, you would always meet Russian people. Like I went to Amalfi Coast in Italy this August, and I was impressed. It was like 50% Americans, 50% Russians.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So,
was also in Nice in southern France, and there were a lot of Russian speakers there.
oh, there, south of France, it's all the rich Russians. They buy houses there, and it's just
And there
occupied.
there were a lot of people that like there were a couple of girls that were doing like gymnastics and like ballet on the beach.
Wow. So, let's say you see two girls doing gymnastics at the beach. You're like, oh, I wish I could speak to them. And Russians usually they're not really how would I say that? Let's put it this way, that it's the possibility that a Russian person would speak English is not very high. Now
Hmm.
it's slowly changing, but still, Russian people do struggle with English. So if you know Russian, here you go.
I
You
can
can
improve my chances to communicate with new people. So.
exactly, exactly. So to summarize, really, for everyone, the motivation can be so different. One might think, oh, wow, it's such a challenge for me. So if I can handle Russian, I can handle anything in this life, you know? Because if you learn Russian, you become tough.
Yeah, especially as I was saying, some people see it as a challenging language. Maybe after they learn Russian, then they could see that anything is possible as long as they have motivation and if they're driven to learn, so they can achieve their goals.
Because so many people freak out just by seeing our alphabet. well, they don't know that's the easiest part. It's still to learn the alphabet. So really, if one takes up this challenge, it can really, as you said, show this person that anything, almost anything is possible. Once we were afraid to walk, right? But we've learned it.
Hmm.
If something is difficult, it doesn't mean you can't learn it.
And so, what challenges do your students normally encounter when they start studying the language?
What challenges? Let me think. Well, there are so many, really. I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm not gonna say lies that, oh, well, it's so easy, you can do it. But I guess the fact that the grammar, Russian grammar, is so complex that we have so many rules, but even more exceptions. I remember when I studied Russian in school, and Russian is my native language, but we have Russian classes till we graduate from high school. So we have Russian classes for 10 years of school, 10 or 11, I don't remember very well. But our teacher would always say, well, it's the language of exceptions, well, it doesn't help you learn. But there's so many exceptions, exactly. When you see the rule, you think, okay, I think I got it. And then you see there's so many exceptions to it. So that would be the most challenging thing, I guess, because
Remembering all of the exceptions in addition to all of the different rules.
exactly, because you feel more challenged because now you have to figure out the rule, and then you have to say, well, I know the rule, but there are 1 million exceptions. So that maybe people get a little bit confused, but it's still, you can do it.
And where can people contact you if they're interested in taking lessons?
Okay, so I guess we can leave the link to my Facebook page below this video. Could we do that,
Hmm.
Jose?
Or do you have just a
So
regular
the
email as well?
email you said?
Hmm.
Yes, we can leave that too. So you can either contact me on my Facebook page because I check my Facebook every day, so I make sure I get your message. And my email is fine too. And I also write a blog in Russian. So
On
if you
what is the address of your blog?
it's called piaceredivivere.com, which is in Italian means pleasure to live. And we will leave the link to that as well, right? But
Yeah.
everything is in Russian, but we will leave the link exactly which takes you to the page where you can contact me. So basically you will just have to type in your message and click send.
And then okay, then they'll be able to contact you.
Yes, and I will get the message from my blog. So that could work too.
Okay. And what language would you like to learn in the future, Ekaterina?
I would, being here now in America, I would really love to learn Spanish because in Atlanta here, a lot of people, you would hear a lot of Spanish.
Hmm.
And I, in my car now, I listen to to Spanish radio all the time. And actually, it took me a week to figure out that all they've been speaking about is football.
Oh, really?
I still don't understand. So I was like, well, maybe it was just one program or two programs they spoke about football. No, I guess I found some wrong radio that they speak only about
It's just the sports
football.
station.
Yeah, but it's so similar to Italian, so it would just be stupid of me not to learn it. It does create confusion in your head because there are so many words that are so similar, and you tend to want to learn use Italian word in Spanish. But it's also quite should be quite a challenge. So I already started. I started already actually. I just
Do you
have to
like the language so far?
say it again. Sorry.
Oh, and do you like the language so far, what you've studied?
Yes, yes, I really like it. The grammar also. I like the fact that because I studied Italian, the grammar is so similar. So I'm like, I feel so confident, I feel cool because I can just um, go through it so fast because so many grammar units are so similar to Italian.
And the pronunciation isn't a big challenge to you either?
Mm, I haven't, to be sincere, I haven't spoken it so much yet, but no, it doesn't, like French, for example, is much more challenging for me. Like these sounds, I just cannot make them. Maybe it's the matter of practice too, but Spanish is much easier, yes.
Awesome. And do you currently speak any other languages besides Russian and English?
Yes, I speak Italian and I love it. Actually, I don't believe, I actually can still believe it that I speak it because when when I started learning it, it seemed impossible because it was so different from English. The grammar seemed much more difficult. The fact that you have to conjugate all the verbs and, but I did it. It didn't even
And
actually took me
how long
that
have you
long.
been studying Italian then?
How long have I been studying it? Well, let's say I started about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. But by that time, I knew only a couple of words. And now I can be pretty much fluent, I guess, if I can say that.
Allora parliamo un po' in italiano. Perché hai scelto di studiare la lingua italiana?
Perché circa 5 anni fa, quando ho fatto il mio primo viaggio in Italia, mi sono completamente innamorata di questo paese, della cultura italiana.
Hai
Anche,
fatto un viaggio in Italia?
scusa?
Hai fatto un viaggio in Italia?
Sì, il mio primo viaggio in Italia ho fatto circa 5 anni fa. Sono stato turista. La lingua italiana anche mi sembrava quasi surreale, molto bella e melodica. Come ho già detto, neanche ci credo
Che
parlo,
adesso la parli.
che lo parlo esattamente.
E
Sì.
che cosa ti è piaciuto di più della cultura italiana quando sei andata?
Cosa mi è piaciuto? Che mi piace il fatto che gli italiani sanno godersi la vita, soprattutto per le piccole cose, perché in realtà la nostra vita è composta da piccole cose, no?
Mhm.
Eh, Nella mia cultura, per esempio, le persone non esprimono così tanto le emozioni come gli italiani, sono più riservati, direi. Un italiano invece può parlare, di
Sempre
quanto,
parla di come si sente, quello che pensa.
di quanto gli piace la pasta di mamma o di sua vacanza. Agli italiani piace esprimere quello, che sentono. E questo
Così si gode di più la vita, ma veramente dicendo quello che uno sente e tutto quello che uno pensa.
Sì, perché ne parlano, invece magari nella mia cultura tu non lo dici, magari lo pensi, ma non lo dici. In Italia proprio mi piace questo tanto, che le persone si esprimono.
Bello. E dove sei andata in Italia?
Dove sono andata? Io ho vissuto un anno a Roma. Sono andata in altre città, anche a Milano, dove sono stata, Firenze, Siena. Fammi pensare, qualcos'altro? Sono stata a Venezia anche. ah, sì, sono andata, ho visto
Dappertutto,
un
veramente
bel
sei
po' di
andata.
posti, sì, sì.
E dimmi, qual è stata la tua esperienza a Roma? Ti è piaciuto vivere là?
Sì, sì, guarda, mi è piaciuto veramente tanto. Certo che inizialmente era molto difficile, ma questo è normale quando ti trasferisci in un posto nuovo, tu non conosci nessuno, tu devi iniziare la tua vita da zero, no? Devi
Mhm.
fare nuove amicizie, spesso magari ti senti un po' sola, però questo che succede, devi andare avanti
Succede
comunque.
ovunque dove abiti.
Sì, perché alla fine anche è un'esperienza molto gratificante che ti fa crescere, ti fa scoprire tante cose anche di se stesso che magari tu non avresti mai scoperto um, se
Se non
rimanevi
avessi fatto quel viaggio, se non avessi vissuto.
se rimanevi nella tua comfort zone, tu non puoi crescere così. Se invece tu ti sposti un po', ti fa scoprire tante cose questo.
Sì, io sono d'accordo con te. E Per te, secondo te, perché Roma è una città speciale? Che cosa ti è piaciuto di più a Roma? C'è un posto,
Guarda, qua possiamo saltare questa domanda perché io qua posso parlare per ore, però ci sono
una cosa, per esempio?
milioni di anni di storia e di cultura. eh, cioè, ci sono le persone del tutto mondo, tu puoi incontrare la gente veramente,
Veramente.
sì, che poi mm, è molto verde. Tu vivi in una città grande, poi tu puoi scoprire tanti posti dove ti senti come stai fuori di città, no?
Sì, 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 mi ricordo. E anch'io quando sono andato a Roma è stata un'esperienza molto speciale per me, perché a me piace molto la cultura romana, quella cultura della Roma antica, allora per me è stata un'esperienza molto speciale di vedere, scoprire la città e scoprire la gente, vedere tutti i posti che volevo conoscere.
Sì, sì. E poi io sono russa, allora io non sono abituata a bel tempo. A
Mhm.
Roma il clima è spettacolare, che
Da
questo
me faceva troppo caldo quando sono stato là.
faceva troppo caldo. Sì, d'estate fa un po' caldo, poi non sanno aria condizionata loro, vero? Allora soffri un po'. Però per il fatto che io mi ricordo a Capodanno facevano 18 gradi, 18 gradi questo Celsius, non so,
Sì. È
in-
bel tempo, oppure non è freddo, vero?
sì, sì, era bellissimo e il fatto è che tu puoi stare sempre fuori, tu se incontri i tuoi amici puoi stare fuori, non devi sempre stare dentro come in Russia per esempio,
Sì,
perché
perché
fa
anche qui
freddo.
dove abito a Chicago sempre devo stare dentro, perché adesso fa molto freddo fuori e non posso andare a fare una passeggiata al parco, non posso veramente uscire con gli amici, andare in spiaggia o fare una passeggiata in centro perché fa troppo freddo veramente per passeggiare e non c'è nessun posto dove andare.
A Roma puoi quasi vivere fuori, guarda, vieni a casa vai a casa solo a dormire, perché il tempo è bellissimo. Io sempre stavo fuori, facevo una passeggiata, um,
E questo ti
bellissimo.
permette anche di conoscere gente nuova e essere sempre fuori.
E così scopri le città, infatti, perché se fa freddo, magari alcuni posti non ci vai neanche perché sei sempre a casa. Se sei
Sì,
sempre fuori, tu sempre scopri qualcosa di nuovo della città.
sì. Sì, è quello che mi piace di più dei posti che hanno bel tempo, che puoi veramente conoscere la gente e parlare con la gente che non conosci.
E tu poi è vero che in posti caldi vedi che la gente sorride di più, sembra anche più felice. Non so, io veramente dopo aver
Molto-
vissuto, sì, dopo aver vissuto a Roma sono quasi sicura che il sole influisce tanto la gente.
Sì, sì, anch'io ne sono d'accordo.
Il sole influisce veramente tanto, perché io per esempio ho conosciuto tante persone magari che non guadagnano tanti soldi, no? Vivono con poco, diciamo,
E magari così erano
però
felici.
sempre sorridono, sempre... Scusa?
E magari così erano felici, vero?
Puoi ripetere?
Magari così
Sì,
è...
sì, poi in Russia
Sì.
il video è un po' slow adesso, è un po' lento. Adesso ti
Adesso ti
sento, adesso
sento.
ti sento.
Va bene. E dimmi,
Ok, tu mi
un'ultima
senti?
domanda. Sì, ti sento.
Mhm.
E allora ti piacerebbe tornare poi in Italia?
Sì, certo, come avevo già detto, io adoro Roma e non vedo l'ora di tornarci. È, è la prima città di cui mi sono innamorata e il primo amore non si scorda mai. Quindi
Sì,
sì, sì, ci tornerò sicuramente. Perché questa città mi ha regalato tante emozioni, momenti fantastici, tante persone bellissime. Ehm, Questa farà sempre parte di me. Io devo tornarci.
Sì. Ah, bello, sì, sì, anch'io, mi piacerebbe tantissimo tornare, perché sì, sono stato soltanto per 4 giorni e fra 4 giorni ho già conosciuto tantissima gente molto amichevole e come tu hai detto che erano sempre molto felici e molto generosi per aiutarmi.
Sì, io ho avuto un'esperienza molto bella a Roma, ho sempre trovato le persone che mi potevano aiutare con qualcosa se ero in difficoltà, magari la gente che voleva conoscere un po' della mia cultura. Allora, io non so, tante persone, ho incontrato tante persone che parlano male anche della loro esperienza a Roma. Io credo che tanto dipende anche da noi stessi, no? Che
Mhm.
se quello che tu mandi nel mondo ti torna. Non so
Sì,
se è
sono
chiaro.
d'accordo.
Mhm.
All right, well, thanks a lot for the chat, Ekaterina. So, once again, if students want to contact you for Russian classes, they just send you an email via your Facebook page or the email that we're going to post a link here in
Yes,
the comments.
we're gonna post all the links to my Facebook page, to my blog, and my email. Everything's gonna be down below this video, so people can find me easy.
Okay. And would you like to say farewell in Russian before we finish?
Would I like to say something in Russian?
Mhm.
I hate that. I hate to improvise. Окей. Спасибо всем большое за внимание. Было очень приятно пообщаться сегодня с Хосе и рассказать ему о языках, о том, как я их преподаю. А, Буду рада увидеть вас снова уже на моих уроках. Спасибо.
All right. Спасибо большое, Катерина.
This part I didn't prepare. That was. Thank you so much, Jose, for doing this chat with me, and it was really nice to talk to you.
Yes, it was great. All right.
Thank you.
До свидания.
До свидания. Пока-пока. Пока-пока.
Okay.